It was quite a long story, but when I was a little boy, so I was 7 years old, my dad took his own life. It's quite young. I have two other brothers as well, so my mum was bringing up three kids on her own, three boys as well. And my other two brothers are younger, so I instantly became the man of the house at that age. At 7 years old, I was the only one old enough to go to his funeral. My brothers didn't go.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Burnt Chef Journal, a hospitality-specific podcast dedicated to challenging mental health stigma and conversations designed to inspire a new, healthier, happier, and more sustainable hospitality profession.
I'm really excited about this week's episode. Joined virtually, which is a shame because I would like to actually give this guy a massive pat on the back and a huge thank you personally. I am joined by one of our incredible ambassadors who's been with us for a number of years now, who has done so much in terms of raising awareness for the cause and spreading the word about what we do, both in person and on social media, who has summited and climbed more meters than I've ever done in an entire lifetime, and he's done it in just a year, and also raised just shy of £7,000 doing so, and also represented us on BBC Media as well. I'm joined by Joe Bentley today. So, Joe, thanks ever so much for joining this podcast episode.
Well, hiya.
So, I'm intrigued, because I don't have the details to hand. How many peaks now have you summited since you started walking, raising funds for the Burnt Chef Project?
Well, I ain't got a clue. I've done a lot. Do you want me to list some? I started with the Yorkshire Three Peaks. That's where I started, because that's kind of opened my eyes to what sort of training I was going to have to do, because I did it a couple of years ago and it nearly killed me. So I've redone that. I've done the UK Three Peaks in 25 hours. I went for 24, but did it in 25. I've done the highest mountain in Crete. I've done 19 of the Wainwrights in Lake District. I've done a lot of the peaks and the peak districts. They're the closest to me. They're within an hour where I live, hour and a half. So I've done probably 20, 30 of the peak district peaks. So it's quite a lot now. I've done quite a lot. Yeah.
Incredible. And you mentioned you did the highest peak in Crete, but you didn't just do the highest peak in Crete. You also decided to start looking after some of the local land as well, right?
Well, it's called Siluritis, or to English people, Mount Ida. There's the amount of times I said I wanted to climb Mount Ida, and people in Crete didn't know what that was, because it's what we call it, not them. It wasn't until about a week in I realised I was calling it the wrong name. On the top, there's a chapel. It's 2,456 metres. On the top, there's a chapel, and just full of rubbish. Everywhere you looked, there were rubbish. It was mental. There was no rubbish going up there, just all in the chapel at the top. So the hiking guide that I was with, he had some bags in his bag, so he wouldn't let me carry them down for insurance purposes. He'd only let me help him clear it up. But yeah, we got 3 full bags of it, and he took a picture, and he had a friend who was a journalist, and then it went onto there. I couldn't read any of it because it was all in Greek, but yeah.
Yes. It
was good training though for Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, which is going to be the biggest peak that you've done so far?
Oh, yeah, 100%, by far. More than double what I've done.
It's 4,500 metres?
5,800.
5,000, okay, so I'm undercooking it massively. And you'll be joined by, I think there's 12 other people, including Miko, as part of the team who's going to be doing it in just over a month now, right?
It's a month today.
Madness. How are you feeling about that?
Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
I'm shit on a break. Absolutely cacking my pants. I'm more nervous not about being able to do it because I'm having problems with my knees, and I have done for the last 5 months. It's not stopped me walking, but I have trouble resting. I can't kneel down anymore, basically, which is fine when I'm walking and hiking and scrambling. That's all fine. But when it comes to getting comfortable in a sleeping bag, I really struggle. So that's something I'm really worried about. And the altitude, because obviously you end up with like half your oxygen, and you can't train for that. You can't train for what it does to your body. I've researched. The only place you can train is down in London. There's an altitude centre in London. You've got no idea if your body's going to react to that or not. So I could have done all this and still not get to the top because my body decides it doesn't want to. So that's making me nervous.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I think it's a variable that you can't predict, right? Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Katie
basically.
Roberts, one of our ambassadors, did it. Was it last year or beginning of this year? And she was saying she got halfway up and she was really starting to struggle. But as soon as she got oxygen inside her for a tank, she said that was it. She was powering back through again. So,
Yeah,
I think you're in safe hands with 360 Expeditions who are running it because they know what the signs are. They're experienced guides, and they'll look after you as well whilst you're up there. It'll be quite a profound experience, even if people aren't able to make it completely to the top. It will still be a hell of an experience to be able to go, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. I've never been out of Europe. I've had some proper dilemmas, like with the jabs. I didn't know that you had to get them 8 weeks beforehand. I'd missed it on the reading, on the information pack they've given us. I missed it. So I rang last week to get jabs, and you've got to have them through NHS. You've got to go get them 8 weeks before, and I didn't have a clue. So I thought I was going to have to go private. It's all completely alien to me leaving Europe. So, yeah, just going to Africa itself is going to be new to me.
Yeah. I've never been, to be honest, so I wouldn't be able to say, but I only left, again, only ever travelled Europe. I only left outside of that and went to Toronto a couple of years ago when we launched out in Canada, and then Atlanta last year. And those are really the only places that I've been on outside of that area. And it's scary and it's exciting and it's, here's a story for you. So I went to Atlanta March this year for a trade show and went to try and get on the plane. When they said, you can't get on the plane, you can't check in. I said, why not? And they said, well, have you got your visa? I said, visa? Well, I don't need a visa to go into America. They're like, yeah, you need a visa. And I was like, shit, how long does a visa take to come through? And they were like, at best 72 hours. And I was like, but my plane leaves in 2.5 hours. They were like, we can't let you go without a visa. I'm like, great. Okay, well, this is a learning curve. So I had to apply for a visa, ended up paying some dodgy company for a visa that was going to fast track it, and they didn't respond. And luckily, I got my money back from that. And lo and behold, on the weird turn of events, the visa came through in like an hour and a half, which gave me an hour and a half to get through check-in, get through security, and get on the plane. I'd never been to America. I didn't realize that I knew you needed a visa, but I didn't realize you'd need one for 4 days.
Yeah.
Then you learn and you build, and I'm excited, man. I'm gutted that I'm not going to be able to do it with you guys, but Mika she's a strong team member. She's done a lot
of walking as well, hasn't she? I've seen her Madeira trails and stuff on Instagram. She's some walker. Yeah,
she's fair, and she's got good energy as well. So she's the right person to have with you. She'll keep everyone cheered up, and yeah, she's a fantastic addition. So, Joe, you've been an ambassador for us for a number of years now in total?
Yeah, 2.5 years, I think. Yeah. 2023, I think I signed up.
And where did you first hear about the Burnt Chef project?
God, it was that long ago, I can't remember. It'll have been on one of the social media sites, probably Instagram or Facebook, one of them. I didn't actively search out for us. I came across it as an advertisement, I think, and then I was like, oh, what's that? That's interesting. And then just delved into it.
And what was it that you found enticing or interesting about the Burnt Chef project or the work that we do?
Well, at the time, I'd quite recently done MHFA training, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit because I thought I knew everything about depression and everything because I've been through it. So I just thought it was going to be able to teach me something that I've been through. So I went on that course. There was a profound lesson I learned from it was if you know somebody's struggling, ask them outright if they're thinking about committing suicide, because I would never have done that. And nobody ever asked me. And if anybody had ever asked me, I would have probably dodged the question. But I would never have learned that. And it potentially saved a kid's life because I'd learned that. So when I saw Burnt Chef thing, I thought, brilliant to get and help up north. Because I know at the time it was quite, from what I could see, a lot of it was quite south-based. So I thought there was a need for it up north a bit more. I hadn't seen much in hotels up north. So I thought I'd go for it and try and become an ambassador and help spread the word. I actually got my friend on it as well. He's an ambassador as well.
And you've done an incredible job on that front. And I suppose because it's, this episode's been recorded especially for Suicide Awareness Month, can we dive in a little bit to your personal experiences? You mentioned you've experienced depression and mental illness yourself. But I know that obviously that's also, you've had a personal experience with suicide within your family as well.
Yeah.
So, did you want to talk about one of those,
Yeah.
those examples and just what it meant to you and how it impacted you, and just try and let's challenge some of the stigmas associated with this subject matter and try and get people talking about it, really.
Absolutely, yeah. So, it was quite a long story, but when I were a little boy, so I was 7 years old, my dad took his own life. It's quite young. I have 2 other brothers as well. So my mum was bringing up 3 kids on her own, 3 boys as well. And my other 2 brothers are younger, so I instantly became the man of the house at that age. At 7 years old, I was the only one old enough to go to his funeral. My brothers didn't go. And it leaves a hole. I've got 2 kids now, and it's constantly in my head that already further along in their lives than my dad was in theirs. So I spend a lot of my time trying to shelter them because I didn't get sheltered. From a very young age, I was aware of what was going on around me. I still remember the day, waking up in the morning and, there's emergency workers everywhere. And I still remember it now. I was 7 years old and I still remember it now, nearly 30 years later, like it was yesterday. But on the other foot, he probably saved my life because I went through depression, and it's probably caused long-term by what happened when I was a kid, but I just put it in a box back in my head and forgot about it for the majority of my adult life. And then lockdown hit, and I went from working 70, 75 hours a week to being the primary caregiver for my children, and it just sent me west. And then I got made redundant after being furloughed, and I was gone. My head was gone. I moved out, I moved away from my family, moved onto my friend's sofa. Bear in mind, I just bought a big house with my family, and I moved out, lived on my friend's sofa, and I couldn't accept help. I didn't see that I needed help. I just saw that I needed away from where I was. And I never actually attempted to take my own life. And I put that down to the fact that I didn't want my kids to go through what I went through. I would have happily walked in front, something taken my life, but I didn't actively want to do it to myself because then my kids would forever know that I took my own life. If I'd have stumbled and fallen while I was walking up a mountain and fallen off a cliff, that would have been more acceptable in my head. It's scary because that was what was going through my head. I need to find a way to end my life that my kids aren't going to think I've done it to myself. Which is, I remember the day walking where someone had been attacked and hoping it had happened to me, and at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up that morning and decided I needed help. It took me to get to that point where I needed help. And if I hadn't have had an amazing partner who, even though I'd left her and gone and lived on my friend's sofa and just given up on our life together, even though we'd been together for 10 years, if she hadn't stuck by me, I might still not be here. She got me the help I needed. She made me, I went to the doctors and I'd always, because I had a bad episode of counselling as a kid after what happened with my dad. So all I can remember is drawing black and white drawings of how sad I was. I didn't want to go through that again. So I'd always said no to therapists, no to counsellors. It's like a shopping list. You go on, I don't know if you've ever seen a therapist, you go onto a therapy website, it's like a shopping list, trying to find somebody that's suited to your needs.
Yeah.
I remember, and I did one on Zoom and I did one on in person, and they just weren't right. You just don't feel comfortable opening up to those people. I needed somebody my age, and I found someone. I'd advise it to anybody to go see a therapist because it really can make you just. What she used to say to me, I'd always used to try and turn things back to other people's problems. I never even realised I was doing it when I was talking about stuff. So we'd be talking about myself, and then all of a sudden, how many hours I was working, and I'd twist it so that I was working those hours to help my sous chef who needed the time off. But I was never actually thinking about myself. Do you know what I mean? And I'd never seen my life like that before. If I hadn't seen her and been forced into that room, I would never have known that I was constantly putting people before myself, which only lasts so long before your head goes. Yeah. So.
I mean, first and foremost, thank you for sharing, because it is important and it does help break down some of the walls and allow other people to connect. But there was something that you said there that there's a couple of things that you said, but the really last point that you made, which was you were putting yourself in the firing line to be able to allow your teams and to have time off, etc. But it was almost like a form of self-harm, right? Because
it is
long hours. And you say that to me, and that's a conversation that we have regularly, like very, very regularly, with a lot of different people in hospitality. And I even said it yesterday to someone I was speaking to, I was like, quite often enough, leaders, whether it's a team of 2, 5, 50, whatever it might be, will say, I give my team all the time off that they need. I'm flexible with my working rotas. I'll make sure they only work 40 hours a week. But if something goes wrong, I'll cover that for them and I'll do 80, 90 hours. And it's okay because I can handle it.
You can't handle it forever, though.
You can't. You're not built to. Like, it's biologically and physiologically impossible. And then the cracks start to show, right?
Yeah, they do. 100%.
And I'd like you to know that your experience of depression and isolating yourself from friends and family and just taking yourself to a different area is similar to my experience. And the reason why I started the project is there's this weird thing that happens in your brain when you're ill to some people. And it's a case of like, no one wants me around. I don't need to be around anymore. I just need to be like ostracized. And I still remember packing my bags and just trying to leave my family and just take myself off. I didn't know where I was going to go.
It doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't.
You don't need to know. You need to know. You just need to be gone in your head.
Yeah. And it's really one of those sad things about depression, certainly, is that your self-view of yourself is so low at a time when it really needs to be high. Like, when your brain's telling you, no, just the world's better off with you in isolation or even not here. And that's not the case at all. That's never the case. But that's your reality and that's your perspective on things at the time.
And nobody can change that thought either. You need to figure it out. You need to be prompted to get help. You need to come to that realization in your own head that you are worthy. It's finding a way to make you realize that. It took a lot for me to realize it. I went on antidepressants and saw a therapist, but it took a long time. It's not a quick overnight fix. Antidepressants aren't a quick overnight fix. They take time. Take time to kick in, and you don't even realize they're happening. I don't think I would have seen a therapist without the antidepressants. Because I didn't see the therapist first. I was on antidepressants first, and they kind of just naturally dull your emotions, and you don't realize it's happening. For me, that's what happened with me anyway. I didn't even notice that the voices in my head were, getting quieter. And it's almost as if it gave me more space to think about seeing a therapist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
But I would never have got there without being forced into it. And then obviously took the therapist to make me realise that I was just constantly putting people first and never thinking about myself. So it's the same with this challenge that we're doing this year. I was so whether to do it or not, because obviously it's an amazing opportunity to do it. But I went through it with my partner and I showed her the training plan and I was like, can we do this really? Because I'm going to have to you're going to fall out with me when I become really selfish and have to put myself first. Because if I don't put myself first, I could die. So we need to look at this and make sure that you're actually fully prepared for me to do this. And she's been amazing. My partner's been amazing in terms of looking after kids, and work's been really good as well. So no one even bats an eyelid now when I just take an extra day off. So it's good.
And I think, shout out to your partner and to the kids, because it's hard. It's really hard when you are doing something, whether it's working, whether it's purpose-driven, whether it's to ensure your safety on something like one of these challenges. It's hard on the person doing it because they have to be committed and they have to be focused.
Yeah.
It is challenging on other members of the family and friends as well, because effectively you do, as you say, you have to be selfish, put yourself first. And shout out to the family and friends who understands that this is something that sometimes people have to do and to stick by and to support where possible. And I think often enough family members tend to get overlooked. They
do, and they need a lot of kudos, because my missus has been amazing. She's been my rock. There's been days where I've started spiraling, and when the whole jabs thing last week, I had a mental breakdown. I nearly took a mental health day at work. I don't wear it like a badge of honour, but I've never had a sick day here. It's just, I am still don't look after myself at work completely. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't have come to work that day because I wasn't right, but I did because I knew what we had on at work and I knew that I couldn't leave my sous chef, which is really contradicting what I was saying before. I'm aware as I'm saying it out loud, but that day she really helped me get through it. And, she's not perfect. She has her own struggles, but she's still there, supports me when I'm at the lower barrel. So, family and friends that have supported people who are doing these challenges deserve just as much credit in my eyes, because I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without her. I would have lost my mind months ago.
Yeah.
Trying to organise the equipment and stuff, it's just, I'm like a walking child, even though I'm the head chef of a hotel. When it comes to reading through, I'm so unorganised and unprepared majority of the time. So I've only just got my visa sorted, and obviously I'm late with the jobs. I bought the majority of my equipment yesterday. It's a month out. I should have bought all this here a long time ago. I'm just really unorganised.
I feel you. I feel you a lot. So you're pretty much sorted on the prep side of things for the challenge?
I think so, yeah. I'm still having problems with my boots. This time last year I was 22 stone, so I've lost a lot of weight, but my feet are still massive, and they always have been throughout my entire life. I can never find shoes that fit me. So I'm still getting blisters in my shoes, but there's no what I can do about it. I'm going to have to just make do and just do it with blisters. It's infuriating, but tried 4 different pairs of shoes.
What was Miki? I was chatting to Miki the other day when she did the Santiago El Camino, and
it's unreal, that trail, by the way. That trail looks amazing that she did.
Yeah. One of our other friends and ex-colleagues, Andrew McDonald, did the whole thing over like 6 weeks, and he said it was just a profound. I mean, I'd love to do it again. I'm not sure I can get the time out of work.
No, I'd love the time to do that, but yeah, they ain't going to give me 6 weeks off.
No. She was saying that these 5-fingered toe gloves.
Yes, I've seen them. In fact, Matt swears by them. The chubby brummie who did he swears by them. I did the Lake District Ultra with him, didn't I?
Yeah.
He swears by those toe socks. I actually tried them. I've just been advised not to wear them. I've got advised by people that go outdoors not to wear them.
The only thing about them is they do trap sweat, but I always tend to double up on, like, I'll wear like cashmere socks or like a wool sock, and on the outside I'll wear a thicker one so that the friction is against the 2 socks rather than against the foot. But I think if you're working over any long distances, you're going to end up, just make sure you take plenty of tape.
Yeah, well, I will. And I've bought some Crocs as well today. I've bought some fluffy Crocs for when we get back to camp, so that if I have got blisters, at least there's no on back of my heels when I'm relaxing. So hopefully I'll be all right.
Nice.
If you're enjoying this week's episode, consider heading over to our website and supporting our ongoing work in destigmatizing mental illness and creating a healthier, happier, and more sustainable industry by purchasing some of our branded merchandise. We have a whole range of t-shirts, hoodies, chef's jackets, well-being journals, plus a whole host more available on Worldwide Dispatch. All funds raised from sales of these items go towards free-to-access e-learning content, as well as providing free support systems and help for those who may be experiencing difficulty with their mental health.
Joe, I mean, you've done a fantastic job of representing us, but obviously you are a head chef at an incredible establishment as well. What sort of changes have you guys, have you seen since you entered the industry when it comes down to health, well-being, flexibility of working? And what specifically are you guys doing differently for your teams and when it comes down to these areas?
Well, we have mental health first aiders. I'm trying to see if I've got a poster. Can I just grab it? I'll show you.
Yeah, go ahead, grab it.
So there's 4 hotels in my chain. So it's quite a small Yorkshire-based hotel. But we do this. We have first aiders across all of the hotels. So you can see who's trained in your hotel to speak to if you are struggling. We've also got all of us, because I'm obviously one of the mental health first aiders, there's also an app that we've set up. It's not an app. It's like a reporting service. So if you're struggling I've used it a couple of times because sometimes you're not the right person for people to open up to. I'm the head chef. I'm big and scary to a lot of people. I might not be majority of the time outside work, but, I still have the tendency to get annoyed. I'm a head chef. So that can be frightening not frightening, but kids, the 16-year-olds and 17-year-old waitresses won't necessarily come to me to open up. So I think it's very, not smart, it's very important that when they're doing this, and I did have a say in some of it, is who they pick to be the mental health first aiders. For example, one of our mental health first aiders is a 19-year-old supervisor who's perfect for the kids to go to speak to. So we prioritise every area of the hotels having the right support. Do you know what I mean? I think there's 3 in our hotel. There's 3 mental health first aiders, and there's me, a supervisor who's very young, and then there's somebody else who would be more appealing to the older people, so housekeepers, and that will be more welcome to go to her. So there's always somebody in each of our establishments who's available. We did trial 4-day working weeks for a little bit. It didn't work. It didn't work for us.
What was the challenge in respect to 4-day working weeks?
Well, a lot of the time it was business. We couldn't cover the business how we wanted to. But it also had negative side effects. So for example, my sous chef now is actually on a 5-day contract now, but he left the business and came back. But when he was with us before, he was on a 4-day contract. And he loses his days. He appreciated the 3 days off, but he explained it that he needed his first day to get over the 4 days where he's done, because it's a 45-hour contract. So you're doing 4 12-hour shifts. After your breaks have been taken off, you're doing 4 12-hour shifts, and that will kill her, especially when you're on your feet all day. I can understand why it would work in a business, in an office. It had a negative effect in our kitchen. I mean, I would personally, I've never been on a 4-day contract. I've always been on 5, but I would personally love 3 days off a week because I work that at them hours anyway. But he explained that he was actually losing time by having those days. Now he's on 5 days, but I make sure he gets a half day somewhere in those 5 days. So he kind of gets 2.5 days off. Do you know what I mean? So he pretty much prefers that. But it was also really hard to cover the business, and the head chefs who were all on 5-day contracts ended up working more. So it just having negative. I can understand why it works in some places and some areas, like set business, but in hotels it just can't work because you've got so much late business dropping in.
Yeah,
I might get a football team in 2 days that I need somebody who's authoritative to be here for. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas a restaurant, your busy days, without trying to knock restaurants down at all. I'm saying they know Friday, Saturday are going to be their busy days, so you know that you're going to need all your chefs in from then. I've got a friend who's a chef in Leeds, and they close 3 days a week. It's easy to do it when they close for 3 days a week. It's easy. In hotels, they never close. They're open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you don't have that option. You've always got to have someone covering the business. So for 4-day contracts, as much as I would love it to work in our kitchen, it just didn't work. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge, isn't it? Because whilst you want to do, I've always said this ever since COVID came about. And we lost a lot of talent, and businesses were going, well, let's just pay more and then put everyone on a 4-day working week. And I was one of those people if you scroll all the way back to the very beginning of the Burnt Chef Project's Instagram account, you'll be like, there's something I put up, which is like, the answer is really simple. Let's just put everyone on 4-day working weeks and it will fix the industry. And then someone messaged me and said, well, we're a mom and pop restaurant. We have 6 employees. If we put everyone on a 4-day working week, it's going to cost us approximately £50,000 more a year to hire more people to be able to cover that, which eats up all of our profit. And I was like, perhaps that's not the answer then. It would have been nice if it was, because it'd be nice and simple. And actually speaking to people, and similarly to yourself, speaking to some hotels and even restaurants, they've determined that it's going to be a 4-day working week. But actually, that doesn't fit for people. It doesn't fit for parents, for example, who want to do school pickup because they have to work hours. It doesn't work for people who, maybe have gym clubs or things like that, because all of a sudden you're eating into personal time. So there is no one size fits all. And especially with hotels where you've got conferences, banquets, you've got weddings, and sometimes short notice, it can be a challenge. So it has to match the needs of the business, but it also has to be beneficial to all team members, or at least a majority of team members. And sometimes that just doesn't always work, especially if you're trying to cram 45, 50 hours into 4 days. I mean, that's, we're talking 12-hour days there. Like, that's not easy.
A lot of our shifts are 12-hour shifts. I think I wrote on my sous chef on my rotas there. So they'll do 4 11-10s and then 1 half day. But that's how his work. Mine are quite similar, to be fair. But that's just, there's not really a way around it in hotels. I'm glad to say, though, that I have actually kept my team. This is the longest I've ever managed to keep a team together. I've not had to recruit for over a year now, which is unheard of in kitchens, especially in hotels. So I feel like I'm doing all right with them.
What would you say? What would you accredit your success to being on that?
I'd say they've got freedom. My boys all have freedom. They know that if they've got something on, I will do my utmost to give them it off. I don't say yes to everything. One of my CDPs, he's asked for 14th of December off, which is 13th and 14th of December off. I'm just looking at calendar, that's why I keep looking up. And I've said I'll do what I can, but the last 3 years, that has been the busiest weekend in December. I need everybody. So I can't, because it's his 10-year anniversary. So I said, look, I might not be able to give you the exact day off, but I can give you the Monday to Friday off and use some of your holiday days. So I always try and, as much as I have to still be the leader of a business, the leader of a department, I still try and make sure that these boys all get their time off that they want. Like, I've got a lad here who works for me, who's from Philippines, and he likes to go home. He likes a month off. Now, our company standards is the most you can book off is 2.5 weeks at a time. But every year I will try and push for him to have a month off, and go get approval for it so that he can have a full month at home with his family that he misses. Do you know what I mean? I think we've got a good culture here, which helps everybody. My door's always open to everyone. So I think that helps a lot as well. I'm not a very shouty head chef. I still command respect like a head chef should, but I don't shout very often.
Yeah.
Which I don't think my boys are used to it, from their experience in other kitchens. So I think that's why they've all stayed.
There's a credit to you for whatever reasons, to have that level of retention for a year is, especially in a demanding business as well. Hospitality in general can be tough, but also in fast-moving businesses where changes are prominent to happen as well. Suddenly, like, you get a wedding party or you get a conference where half the people have an allergy or they're intolerant, or suddenly there's a specific request that comes in at lastminute.com. You have to be flexible and resilient, right? And you have to be able to think on your feet when it comes down to that, which adds another complexity to working in these environments. And I wanted to talk to you, circling back a little bit, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you've learned about yourself spending. So you first and foremost, physically, you were 22 stone and you've lost how much?
Smoke as well. I've smoked 20 cigs a day for 20 years. Since I started smoking when I was 14. And since January, I've not smoked. I vape. I'm halfway there. I vape now, but I couldn't breathe. When I was on for example, I go to the gym quite a lot now. I've actually been told I'm not allowed on a treadmill, but when I was on the treadmill, I couldn't run for longer than 5 minutes without being out of breath. Didn't matter how fit I got, I just couldn't run because I couldn't breathe. So the stopping smoking's helped. And what I've since learned out now as well, which is really frustrating, is actually the success rate of smokers getting up Kilimanjaro is higher because they're used to the lack of oxygen. So I've stopped smoking, and it's actually not a good thing.
Well, it's probably the only time when it'd be considered not great, but listen, it's going to take, if you've been smoking that long for that period of time, it'll take time for your lungs to heal. So maybe you're in this sweet spot right now.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm still, like I said, I'm still vape. Obviously, it's a vice that started because of this business, because of chefing. I remember when I started smoking when I was 15. But I remember I was working in a pub, and the reason I started smoking is because I wasn't getting breaks and everyone else was. I still remember it now. So so my health is much better. I couldn't go upstairs without getting out of breath. I think I weigh just over 17 stone now, so I've nearly lost 5 stone, not quite. I play football every week as well now. I used to be a goalkeeper, but now it's called Man v Fat Football. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's actually really prevalent for mental health as well, because it's a community of, overweight dudes who come together and they meet up with like-minded lads that want to lose weight. To be completely honest, it doesn't necessarily work. There's a lot of them that, obviously, I've lost loads of weight. I'm not sure I would have done if I didn't have a challenge to go for, but I'd still love to go to that football, because I don't know how to explain it, but these lads get something from there that's more than just weight loss. They get the community and they get the teamwork and the friendships. So you should research it. They've got them all over. They're really good for lads' mental health. But yeah, I've been doing that. Obviously done loads of climbing, so lost loads of weight. Smoking. Time off. I've taken a lot of time off work. That's helped a lot. One thing that I still struggle with to this day is sleeping. I can't sleep. I'm still finishing work quite late on a night, and I've got to be up first thing in the morning for school run. So I'm still not resting enough, which I think is partly why my knees aren't getting any better, to be honest. But yeah, all in all, since I signed up, the main reason for signing up was, to raise awareness for the Burnt Chef Project. But it was also because I needed something to aim for in my head, because I'd found myself really overweight, really unhealthy, and looking at my kids thinking I can't do what that daughter would be there doing, gymnastics on a blow-up mat, and I can't play with her. I can't do it with her because I'm so unfit and unwell. And my son wanted to start jogging. He wanted to sign up to Kids Park Run and wanted me to go with him. I'm like, I can't run 2 kilometres.
Yeah.
I'm mad. I'll come and watch.
Yeah.
But now I can run, like yesterday, I ran 6.5 kilometres around a reservoir with a lot of elevation. I'm a different person to what I was.
That's really profound, man. And what about, have you noticed any psychological effects in terms of your thought processes? Or, you mentioned before taking antidepressants, and I completely resonate with this. You were in the head a lot, and there's a lot of negativity and thoughts floating around. Have you noticed anything like, the quietening of the mind by doing increased amount of activity or being focused on a challenge?
Oh, 100%. 100%. When I'm doing sport, walking, mountain climbing, my mind's clear. I said it in one of my videos on Instagram, and that video was actually quite good at explaining it, even though I was out of breath on the side of a mountain when I did it. When you go walking up a mountain, you can't think about anything else, because all you're thinking about is getting to the top. You're that tired and that out of breath that all you're thinking about is summiting wherever you're going to.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the top, it's like you've conquered it. And that's all mental health is. You've just got to fight against it until you summit it, until you conquered it. And I thought I was pretty profound when I was doing it. When I said it afterwards, I was like, that was good, that, Joe. Well done. It's a good Instagram video.
But it's so true, isn't it? Like, there's something about, and I appreciate everyone has different levels of fitness and physical ability. So, where we talk necessarily about summiting a mountain, your mountain could be something as simple as getting out of bed or brushing your teeth, or
yeah, absolutely,
challenging yourselves with a puzzle or whatever it might be. There's an interesting psychology. So I did Mount Brandon when I was in the west of Ireland, near Castle Gregory. Sort of.
I haven't done any of the Irish ones. I do want to do them eventually, though. They do look nice.
Beautiful. Do you know what the best thing about that is? That I saw 4 people the entire day.
Yeah.
That I did Mount Brandon, which is the second highest peak, but the first highest when it comes direct from sea level. And I saw no one. And
it's unreal, isn't it? It's not
incredible. I didn't have any headphones in. There was no music. There was just my heavy breathing. I didn't even have my dog because dogs weren't allowed up on this one. And reflecting upon my mindset shifts during it, when there was one stage where it got really hard, I took a wrong path. Yeah. The first path that I had, which was going to be a gentle slope to a ridge line and then get ready for like a steep incline, I decided to not carry a map with me, which was a massive no-no. And I couldn't buy one in the morning in Ireland anyway, because it was a lastminute.com thing.
Yeah.
And I took a path and I realized I was at the bottom of the ridge line. I hadn't managed to get to the top. And so rather than turn around and then go up the gentle slope, I decided to try and go 400 meters straight up because the sheep were there, so I could do it. And I remember I sat down about 10 times. I was talking to myself. I was like, you're an idiot. You fucking should have just turned around and did this. You're never going to make it. And I was like, I remember sitting down and going, right, I've got enough energy. You can do this, Kris. And then within 2 minutes of like steep 10-meter incline, I was like, God, you're a twat. And like you go through these battles, and then you get to the top of the point where you were meant to be to begin with, from the ridgeline, and you see this massive cliff, and you're like, okay, well, we've done the hardest bit now. You can do it, and you have all of these internal thought processes, and when you finally get to the top, and you're looking around, and it's windy and gusty, and you can see the view, and you go, I fucking did that. I did it.
Yeah, man, yeah.
And then
I had that when I got to top of Nevis. It's mental, isn't it? It's the emotional release you get when you get to the top.
Yeah, I started giggling. I was giggling luckily there was nothing but sheep up there, and I was talking to the sheep. I was giggling. I was like laughing at myself because of how much of an idiot I'd been all the way up there and the elation that I felt. But there is that. It's almost like a form of mindfulness, because you become more aware of your thought processes and the different variations in such a short period of time about how you think. Yeah, I recommend it to anyone.
I do it without music as well. I don't listen to music when I go. I don't even take them, because I want to listen to everything that's going on around me. Yeah. I had the same thing when I did the UK 3 Peaks. I were cramping and all the way up Nevis. We did it the wrong way around. I should have done Nevis first, but I wanted to spend the day up in Scotland afterwards. So we did it the other way around. When I got to top of Nevis, I cried. I had to take myself around the corner and go cry, because I was just fucking done it. You actually got to the 3 Peaks in 24 hours. Didn't get down in 24 hours, but I got to the 3 Peaks in 24 hours in 3 different countries. And I remember sitting around the back. Have you ever been up Nevis? Have you seen it before?
Sure, Nevis. So I've done Penlyfan, Scarfell, Snowdon. I've never done Nevis. It's one of the ones I haven't yet done. So no.
Nevis is the busiest mountain I've ever been on in my entire life. It is mental how many people were up there. Coming down when you're trying to get a challenge, you're literally bouncing in between people because when you try and do the challenge, I jogged down the mall. Walked up but jogged down, and I kept getting cramp. And there were so many people trying to dodge them all on the way down. It's awful. But when you get to the top, there must be about 50, 60 people at the top. There's like a big monument, and then it's I think it's called somewhere just to, like a shelter with a door on it. So that in winter you can, if you get stuck up there, you can relax. I went round the back of there where there were nobody there, and I literally just sat. I rang my missus and couldn't get any signal, and I just sat and cried because I was so taken with emotion. Happy tears, you know what I mean? I've finally done it. I finally got to the top of these 3. I think you should warn Mika for that when we get to the top of Kilimanjaro if I make it, because I'll probably be blubbering. It's like an emotion you can't help. I couldn't help it. I never cried at all, ever. But happy tears, I actually did it. You know what I mean? You can't get that anywhere else either. I've never had it anywhere. I've never been so happy I've cried before.
Yeah, I don't think I've cried at the birth of my children, but I definitely cried. I did the Cumbria Way. Oh God, it must have been 15 years ago. And I finished that. I was much younger and much fitter back then. But yeah, again, I was overwhelmed with emotion then. Yeah, I think it's good. There's something about pushing your boundaries and proving to yourself that you can do anything you set your mind to. And your story is inspiring, and it's proof that you can smoke 20 cigarettes a day, you can weigh 22 stone, you can be in a really bad place and have experienced some terrible, terrible things and loss from the story that you've told. But it's never too late to make a change, and it's never too late to grow, right?
Doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what situation you're in. You can always be better. You can always do better. You can always better yourself. This time last year, I was really struggling with. I was worried I was going to end up where I was. I was worried I was going back. But yeah, I'm where I am now. I needed a challenge. That's what I needed. I needed somebody to say, "Go do that," and then, yeah, it's worked wonders for me. And walking is something else. Walking something that is attainable, no matter your weight, no matter how unhealthy you are. You don't have to climb a mountain. Just walk around a lake or your local park. That's enough. That's the same. Just always know that you've done something. Doing something is better than nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're going to sit in a dark room and think about yourself, just do something. Go outside, get some fresh air. Even if you're just sitting on step outside, it's still further than you were yesterday. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a profound point to end on. And can I just say personally, really proud and grateful to have you on the team and representing us and speaking with such honesty and vulnerability and leading the way and inspiring me as well. So thank you. It means a lot. And I know that the other people both listening to this and following your journey on social media and hearing you on the radio and all of the other great things you're doing will have also had an impact on and benefited other people as well. So well done and thank you, and keep it up.
Thank you for inviting me on, and I'm honoured to be a part of it. Wish I could do more. Wish I could be more on it with college talks and things. But yeah, I'm proud to be here. So
well, listen, we're not going anywhere. Our work has only just begun. So I think one final thing, I guess, from a question point of view for you is if someone listening to this is perhaps just listening to it because it's a podcast or is unaware of what the Burnt Chef Project does or where we are currently, what one thing would you say to someone when it comes down to getting involved in the Burnt Chef Project? Like, why should they get involved? And what would you say is the key thing that people should be doing in terms of opening up conversations and representing us?
People need to know. Hospitality it can be a dark and dangerous place for people. It can. People, there's still the mentality that I work more hours than you, more worthy than you. You're not. Just because you work less hours doesn't make you any less worthy. This is a hard industry, and up until now, there hasn't been anything for us that's been directed at us. Those places have unions and things. We've never had this. We've had to put up with it, and it's just been our lives. But it's not anymore. Open your eyes, share the Burnt Chef Project, share the helpline, because there's kids in this industry that are struggling. And the more they know, the more people that know about it, share stuff on Instagram. Because I know I do. I've got chefs all over that have asked me about it now because I've shared stuff on Instagram. They didn't necessarily know what it was before, but now I've got a friend, a hotel in Leeds, who now has the posters on his walls in his kitchen. So there's kids out there that might not necessarily come to you to open up, but if they see a poster on the wall in your kitchen that's got a helpline on it, that's enough. That's help. They can see that there's something there to help them, which we didn't have 20 years ago. So, yeah.
Well said, mate. Thank you. And thank you again for joining me on this. And yeah, looking forward to seeing the pictures and videos from when you're at the top of Kilimanjaro. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me.